Don't go away, folks. We're back in the studio after a rather hectic commercial break, several commercial breaks, and due to the expertise of our sound engineer, manager, janitor, all other things that they're above.
Veterinarian, yes.
Yes.
Coffee cooker.
We're back on the air. Anyway, the computer went down for old Jim, and he has spent a hectic several minutes getting us back on board. Viewpoint is the program. We just had the pleasure of interviewing a couple of very, very bright young high school students with a nice project. Oh, and by the way, our lacrosse Wisconsin roving reporter, we sent her to Florida last weekend for the Sarasota Jazz Festival, which is one of the real biggies. So she'll report in as to anything that she might have in the next week or so.
Okay.
We gave her plenty of latitude, so we'll be hearing from her. She had a big time. Why don't you introduce our next guest? Because time got away from us due to the we had a little technical problem.
Yeah, that covers a multitude. Yes, and our first program, Libby and I decided, segued nicely into our second program, actually, because Libby Canady is the Early Head Start Family Coordinator with Community Action here in how many counties now?
We cover 6 counties.
6 counties, yeah.
Boy.
It's just
has that increased?
Grown exponentially.
I'm not for sure. I think it's the way the program's been developed.
I see. I didn't know that.
At any rate, I think we've all heard the term Head Start, and we know that now as science advances, they're more and more certain that to have a child in a structured educational situation prior to their being 5 years old in kindergarten is really most necessary. And I didn't realize that through Community Action's Head Start program, you also deal extensively with the families in getting them on right tracks. Now, I'm sure that you personally, with your position with Head Start, would really support these girls' idea, Miranda and Rebecca's Reading Wonderland, in order that kids should be introduced early and learn to love books.
Oh, absolutely. Reading is a very powerful thing for the mind, whether they're listening or as they're learning to read. It does a lot with socialization and being able to put themselves in new situations. Reading just brings to life so many different aspects that a child may not be able to experience within the home. And it really just helps them grow into themselves and ready to be there for their community.
Well, tell us now about whether or not there are any criteria that have to be followed for a child to be part of Head Start, and the ages where they start, and what you start with to teach them.
Well, we have our Head Start, which is our 3 to 5 year olds, and then we also have our Early Head Start, which is a birth to 3 program, and we look for families that we can support to empower them to be great parents. And we start with, helping them learn about how a child develops. This is all parent-directed, so if a parent has a concern or an idea, that's what we use to work with to start with. We just want to help them be aware of how their child is developing and how they can work with their child within the home to grow those skills so that they're ready for that really important piece of preschool.
You know, way back when I was raising kids, the only thing I knew that you could use as a benchmark was my mother had told me that by the time they're 6 months old, they should be able to sit by themselves. That every kid learns to walk at a different age, talk at a different age, speak clearly and distinctly at an entirely different age, and these sorts of things, but they should sit up by themselves by 6 months. That's all I knew.
Wow.
And to keep them clean. Don't let them eat bugs and sticks.
Well, she did a good job of that, I'll tell you that.
I think that parent education has come a long way.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So you help them with what sorts of things now, Libby?
We go in to uplift the entire family. So we,
Yes.
we not only worry about child development, but we want to make sure that the family is stable and not in a crisis situation. Community Action as a whole offers a variety of programs to help support families. We offer a transportation program. We offer a home weatherization program for maybe that families, their homes could use some improvements to make their energy bills more efficient. We also help with energy assistance, if you're having a problem getting that SILCO bill paid, we want to secure a family that way. And we also offer a food program. So that's the family piece of that. And then our family educators, the three of us serving Logan County alone, and we have several family educators within each of the other 5 counties that go into the home once a week, visit with the family, making sure that they're in a good place. And then we bring the education piece of, helping them see what the developmental marks are of their child, that they should be sitting up by 6 months, that they, should be.
And there's even more to it than that,
yes,
isn't there?
that we're looking for language and, their gross motor, they're physically, they're starting to walk and crawl and move and just growing. There's, huge evidence showing that working on some of these skills at a young age can prevent problems as they mature.
I'd like to be naive enough, Libby, to think that you get good parental help and backup on this program. Am I correct in wishing for that?
Our families that are in our program want to be there. They see the need for that assistance. We're just like a big support group for them. I see families interested in what we offer and looking forward to our next visits as being that support. We can kind of be a sounding board for them. If they have a concern, we share in that. If they have something they're really proud of, that's something that we can build on and uplift the families with. So we're just really want to help our families within our communities and help them get their lives where they want to be.
Excuse me, go ahead there.
Well, I was going to say, you just mentioned home visits. Let's talk about what that entails.
Okay. We use a program called Parents as Teachers. That's our curriculum, and within that program, we believe that parents are their child's most influential teacher. So our program is based with empowering the parent with the knowledge they need to be that great parent. So again, we're touching on those developmental skills and showing them activities that they can do in the home that don't require extra funds to purchase. I mean, I can take a shoebox and a scrap paper and show them how to work with fine motor skills and teach their colors and shapes, and we're just really empowering them with the tools that they have to be the best parents they can be.
Unfortunately, when your kids are little, generally speaking, you just don't have a lot of financial resources, okay? And I can remember going to,
That's a fact.
That's a fact. And I can remember going to appliance dealers, actually sending Buzz, to get a box from a refrigerator or stove, and it would be good in the backyard in the summer until the rain came, that they only go through one rain, and that's not very well. So, by George, now my daughter got a stove for Christmas, and she told her husband that she wanted the box. And, well, what in the world are you going to do with a box, Well, she has it in her living room. She had her three grandkids. They'd cut a door in the box, and it was a house, and they were having the best time, and it doesn't cost a nickel.
Not at all.
And a box is a beautiful thing.
I have a beautiful story about a grandfather clock box when I was a child, and that was a spaceship and a train.
Yeah.
It was so many things to me and my brother as our young ages, and that's really where children need to be. If we keep giving them toys that do it all for them, how do they develop problem-solving skills?
Exactly.
How do they learn to communicate about what's going on and ask themselves those deep thinking questions? So, we just really want to show parents that it doesn't take technology and a college education and a classroom to raise a smart child.
Kids don't have to be operated by batteries.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to teach them some imagination, and I'm afraid we're going to shrink in that because of our computers and our cell phones and our everything that we have technological at hand, you really don't have to go out and play in a box in the backyard, you know? You could spend all summer in the house.
It's true.
The thing came across the internet not too long ago. Einstein fulfilled his prophecy and showed all these kids working in various settings, and there's no communication at all. In every setting, they're all busy with their little thing, operating either their iPad or their iPhone or whatever. And no matter where they were having a Coke somewhere or a drink somewhere or sitting in the library. Everybody's ignoring everybody else or sitting there over their thing. So, but it's a good thing we did that because Jim Ash would have been able to fix us this morning.
Yeah, that's right.
When we went down.
Thank God for Jim Ash.
Libby, your services are mostly in-home?
Yes, with our home-based program.
Uh-huh.
And that's for our birth to 3, or I should say prenatally to 3. Mm-hmm. Ideally, we would love to get families in the prenatal portion of that and, you know, educate the mom and get them prepared. You know, we don't always get to have that happen, but it's a really special thing to see.
Well, there's more involved than Lamaze and delivering the child. That's the easy part. It's the rest of it, and it's not the initial cost, it's the upkeep on them that gets pricey, and the involvement that gets involved.
Yep. I like how you mentioned pricey. I just want to mention that our program is free for families that qualify.
Well, let's talk about to qualify, and I'd like to know the number of kids and the number of families, because I'm sure that's not the same, that you deal with just in Logan County,
right.
And then you can multiply that by 6.
There you go. Within Logan County, we have 3 family educators, and we work with 10 to 12 families apiece. That's about as much as our caseloads can hold, so that we can offer the program and our families the individualized planning that they deserve. We serve all families. You're never rejected, to say, but we just put on a waiting list, so when another family ages out, we can bring in the next family. There's, you know, really no qualifications. We are government funded, so we need to make sure that we're meeting the families that need us the most first, and then we fill in as we can. So we really reach and are here to serve all of our families that need us.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question, Libby. Whence cometh your funds to carry on these programs?
Where do they come from?
Yes, please.
We're federally funded. I'm sorry, I don't know the specifics about all that.
That'd be dicey, though.
Yes, and I know with some of the changes that are coming, all I do know is that our management staff are prepared to make the adjustments that they need to, so that it won't affect our families,
That's all
so that
you
we're
can
still
do.
serving.
That's a government program I can endorse.
Yeah.
There's so much waste out there, but this goes directly into homes. This has an impact on individuals. I'm very comfortable with it, kind of spending money like that.
Oh, it's very necessary. I mean, these are the people who are going to be operating, probably not my nursing home, but yours, you know.
Well, our family structures have changed so much over the years. You know, we have, you know, we see lots more single parenting, not just single mothers raising children, but we're seeing single fathers raising children, and, you know, other mixed matches of the sort, and our families need support to get through that.
It's hard for me to comprehend that. Think of what my mother and father would think.
Yeah,
and your mother and father.
Traditional families an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There is no such thing. You didn't tell me the numbers yet, and I also want to nail you.
I don't have a lot of specific information on numbers. I apologize for that. That's just not my role, so I wouldn't want to.
Well, let's just move right along then. I've got more questions. I don't have to have answers in this job, just questions. You mentioned the family ages out. They can age in before the child's born.
Yes.
But they age out?
That is one of the most special things I feel about my position and the program that I work with within the Head Start program through Community Action is that they don't technically age out. Our program can follow the child from prenatally all the way through preschool and into grade school. That's one of our goals, is to be able to follow that family and that child to make sure that we are hitting the marks that we need to with the families. So once they go through the birth to 3 program, once the opening would open up at our Head Start program, the child moves directly into that classroom. So we can actually be with the child all the way through into kindergarten.
So by the time this child is in public school or private school, if that's the story, you know them pretty darn well.
Pretty well.
You stick with your 10, 12 families. You don't go on Tuesday to see whoever you can, and somebody goes on Wednesday. We would specifically stay with our family. That's
Maybe there's family X out here, and they are in need of the services that you offer. How did they find out about how to get this help?
Just call Community Action.
And how would they know about it? Let's say they're totally out of the loop, so to speak.
Sure.
Not even aware of what Community Action is, or if it even is. Do physicians,
I was just going to
nurses,
say we work with physicians and nurses.
That kind of put people in touch?
We've done our best to make sure that all of our material is out there in the community. You know, you may see it at the daycare center, you may see it in the doctor's office, the hospital, a restaurant. Recruiting is a huge part of what we do to make sure that we're meeting our families. So we'll, be at community events, health fairs, and, any place that children or families with young children would be. Our hope is that a Head Start or early Head Start representative is there.
I ran into this at work, at the hospital. It took you, wasn't it?
Yep, it was me.
Up to OB, where she dropped off some flyers, etc., for the people there so that they can be given to the mothers who come to Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital so that they will know. And she said that she would bring more of those at any time. There are even some in the lobby so that if one of our grandkids were expecting, we could pick up a brochure in the lobby that explains this.
We're also working with local high schools on education. We can't ignore teen pregnancy, but we can empower those families, to make the best of what could be a difficult situation.
But will be
so
a
you can
situation.
definitely get information through the high school nurse and things like that as well.
That definitely will be a difficult situation for a high school student.
Judy, I think it'd be appropriate if the station engineer would take a video of the station cat while we're talking here and let the folks know exactly what we...
Who makes all the noise around here?
In the studio here, where all the noise comes from.
And her name again is... Mabel, yes.
And we're posing again beautifully for her.
Yeah.
Seriously. How long have we had Community Action here, Libby?
I believe it's been around since the late 60s with the Head Start program. I do not know the specifics about some of the other programs at Community
they
Action offers, but the early Head Start program's only been around for about 3 years. And I'm very proud to say that we were just funded again for 5. So
wonderful.
I think that shows that there is a need in our communities.
Pretty fully funded?
Yes.
Lucky you.
So I don't know the specifics about the numbers, but the program is good to go, and we have the support where we need to continue serving the families with the programs that
I'm sure that since you're affiliated with the U.S. government for your funding, that you have copious amounts of surveys and statistics and data.
None of which are read.
Probably takes up an important part of your time that could be better spent. But because of these, how are you doing now that you've been in operation this long? What is it showing you? And I'm not asking specifically even for Logan County, but what does the data show you about kids who are able to participate in Head Start, and now the 0 to 3, and
again, I don't have specifics with that, but the evidence that I've researched, and being a college student and a professional, and the training that I received through my program, is that it's working. It's needed, and it's working. So now is not the time to step back. We have to keep pushing forward.
It would have to be working. There's no way it couldn't be beneficial.
How long have you been with the program, Libby?
I've only been in with the program for about 2 months.
Really?
But I've worked with small children for 13, 14 years.
Now, how many how many associates do you have out there working in this program?
Specifically to the Early Head Start program, we have 3 other family educators that do what I do, that go out into the home, in the home-based situation, and support families. We have 3 classrooms for our Head Start program, which have wonderful teachers and assistants in there supporting the classrooms in that way.
And they're located out there at the facility?
No. We have 2 classrooms on Kickapoo Street across from Grau, and we have 1 classroom located in the Centennial Courts neighborhood. So
and are they like a country school then, in that there's a variety of ages in a classroom, like the old country schools used to be? Or is it all 3-year-olds in one classroom, 4-year-olds
I believe it's
in
3
another?
to 5 within each classroom. I don't know that specifically. I apologize, but I believe it is a mixed age group.
Once a number of years ago now, we were camping, and I don't remember whether we had a lantern or a flashlight, but I was reading to Andrew, my grandson, and you can only read Dr. Seuss for so long before you kind of get a yen for a adult book, and I said, okay, Andrew, let's take our books now and we'll read to ourselves. And I picked up my book, and I was in my happy place. Everything was good, and I started to read, and Andrew said, how do you do that? He didn't have any idea about quietly reading to yourself. So there he lay on the bed with his book and not knowing what in the heck to do. But he loved his books, and all my grandkids have, thank you God. And I hope that through Rebecca and Miranda's programs and your program, lots of kids can learn to love books and learn to read. If they aren't ready for school, and it's not like it was when our kids were there, Bill, where they had a little rest on their rug and a little snack and went home. They got to really know more than their birthday and what day it is.
Yes, they do.
So they've got to be reading ready almost, don't they?
Definitely having those skills before kindergarten enhances the kindergarten experience for them. Anything that you can do to help a child be more comfortable in a situation before the situation occurs benefits them, because then they can focus on the newness of the new situation while having the security of the old situation. Right. So if you're, giving them, if I'm starting at 0 to 3 and giving them, socialization skills and communication skills, when they get into preschool, they can focus on that new learning and learning routines and learning to listen to other people and sharing. And so once they get those skills down, they get to move to kindergarten and they're ready for the good stuff.
Right.
They're ready to learn how to read and write and, work on their cognitive thinking and problem-solving skills, because they have the security of what they already know behind them.
See how important that is? It's so important, and we didn't realize that. We didn't realize that when our kids, I thought, they were just babies when I whipped them off to kindergarten at 4 or 5, depending on where we lived at the time. And there's got to be a lot more before that now. They've got to know their shapes and their colors and their numbers and how to print their name. Heck, my 3-year-old great-grandkids can print their name legibly.
Wow.
I can't do that now.
Come to think of it, neither can I. So it's amazing the things that they have to learn, but at those terribly young ages is when they're so susceptible to learning. If we could learn every year what these kids learn in their first year, the magnitude of it would be overwhelming.
And I think that's a very important point. They're like little sponges.
Yes.
From that 0 to 5 age, especially that 0 to 3 age. So it's really important that we're offering rich opportunities for them to experiment with their environments and, play with those toys, play with the Tupperware bowls and the lids and see which ones go with which. And,
yes.
Let them climb up the stairs and show them how to climb down the stairs and, just really being involved in that. So, children learn as they play. It's not about being silliness. It truly is about, that's how they learn, that's how they're built. They're built to move and touch and taste and smell, and, offering those experiences is really important to get them to where they need to be for that, kindergarten mark.
The other day there was a news item about little kids, really little, like you're talking about, and that they shouldn't be exposed to more than 1 hour of television a day.
Absolutely not.
You concur?
I completely agree. TV moves too fast for their little brains. It's important that, you know, that they can approach things in their time, and the TV's kind of in your face, for lack of a better term. You know, when you're that small, you can't just turn it off when it's overwhelming or if it becomes stressful. Your brain just gets to sit there and try to make sense of it. So it's important that we're offering important programming. I'm not saying that all programs are bad for them, but, you know, we want to watch a slower paced television program that doesn't have a lot of flashy in between loud things. It's, you know, it's on their level, so that as they're watching it, they can become they're developing ways to manage the material. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm afraid that a lot of TV is allowed to be viewed by these youngsters because they're occupied with that thing, looking at it, and the parents don't have to worry.
Right.
So the parents are using that as a crutch.
Right.
And that's an unfortunate truth, isn't it?
It is, and I do try to, when my parents and I have these conversations, you know, say, I don't think the television is a bad thing, but think about what they're not doing when they're watching television. Mm-hmm. They're not talking to you. They're not learning how to communicate.
They're glued.
They're not using their muscles and, you know, helping their bodies grow, and, you know, so think about how you can, you know, there's a time and a place for TV, but think about the overall development of the child and what they need, what and where they need to be doing over, you know, or versus watching the television.
Mm-hmm. There's just too much out there that they have to know now. The world has moved on so quickly that it's just almost mind-boggling to think who they have to be before they can start school. You know, and
I don't know that parents completely understand that. And when you're parents, you have children, I have young children. Things are different in that state of that 1-year-old, and you've got to get the diapers and the wipes and the diaper bag pack, and you have to go to work and all the other different stressors in life. So you may not be looking ahead to what they need to know it to, you know. But your child offers you a lot of very natural cues, and to play on those, it doesn't take all day. You know, just 5 minutes of singing that little rhyme, or, you know, patty cake, and, you know, all those little things that you can just give them that minute of your focus, and they're going to let you know when they're done, and they're going to let you know when they want more, and just to keep moving in that fashion, not to get caught up in all the little things that we have to do as parents. You know, just remember that the little one's waiting for you too.
You know, another wisdom from my mom was that you should talk to them all the time, that you're near them, even when they're tiny and you're changing dirty pants. You can tell them, boy, you have no idea how I hate this part of the job. And they'll smile at you
little
and say,
beggar, you.
You really are not pleasing me right now. And they smile at you. It doesn't matter what you say. If you just talk to them in a nice voice, they're just tickled to death, and you get all kinds of happy reaction.
Which makes you feel good as a parent. And nothing's better than that smile from your child.
Oh, really? Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it's definitely worth the time.
Even works in my house today.
So there.
Libby, Canady, we appreciate very much your being with us today. We thank you for your work you're doing. Again, Thanksgiving period. We thank God for the interest of these 2 young high school girls that were with us today, and they're thinking altruistically of younger kids, and that's a really neat thing. We appreciate the work you're doing for families, and particularly those that are in real need. Jim, I found in my wandering about from tavern to tavern around the town that the...
That'll be the day.
Seriously speaking, though. Yes, that'll be the day, exactly right. I get a lot of comments on the closing quotes. I had one the other day that said, sure like that quote. Usually, Libby, we try to end up with a quote that pertains to the subject matter of the day, but since it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, I thought we'd kind of, and this is somewhat facetious. I don't want to be facetious about the meaning of Thanksgiving, and then Judith Kay and I wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving for all families. Found a little one says, After Thanksgiving, the man who finds trouble making ends meet needs to find a longer belt. Little facetious, but happy Thanksgiving to all out there. Thank you, Libby.
Thank you.